Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome today to another YouTube video. Today I have a top 32 deck profile from Ryan Ortiz, in which he piloted I was gonna say Mekk-Knight Orcus, but there are no Orcus cards. It's actually Invoked Invoked Mekk-Knight with a little bit of spice in the main deck. So without further ado, man, we'll have Ryan take it off, and also we have a special guest in the house, his friend, who also helped deck build this and theory this with him. I think Thomas Kim. So without further ado, guys, please introduce yourselves and yeah, let me know how the event went yesterday.
All right, what's up, guys? My name's Ryan Ortiz. I come from Lakewood, California. I've done a little bit on the Cali scene, but nothing big on like a national level. I'm that meme lord, also known as Boruto's dad, that you see on YouTube. So check out Akatsuki, my clan. You know, we always trying to keep it real up in DB. Oh, that sounds so cringy saying this. But yeah, we're just out here doing the best we can, trying to be better players. And I really want to just thank Sun for helping me like build this list. He theory crafted most of it with me and helped me get it good. I think Mekk-Knight Invoked was a pick for the event. Honestly, I didn't lose to a single Synchro Lich except for one.
Yeah.
Only because the guy like resolved 3 tuning in one turn, like milled Lich cards off all of them, and drew 5 and made calamities, and I'm like, all right, buddy, you know what?
Yeah.
just take it. But yeah, I played. How many?
Yeah. So what were your matchups like?
Okay, so I played, I want to say 6 Synchro Lich, 2 Rocks, and 1 Mekk-Knight Invoke. My losses were to round 1 when I played the other guy who was playing a list similar to me, the mirror match.
Jesus, that sounds terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Synchro Lich guy that opened Super Saki.
Yep.
That was the guy that got second though, so he played really well,
Yep.
and I appreciate him.
Yep.
And then I lost in top 32 to Invoked Lich. I felt comfortable with every matchup in top 32 except for the Invoked Lich player, and I
Yep.
played the one guy I did not want to play, but shout out to Matt, that guy's chill, I like him.
Yep.
But yeah, let's get into the list.
Right. And then, so just before we get into the list, do you have any shoutouts you want to give? Just so we can have it at the start of the deck profile.
Okay, let's just like get this all out of the way. So
Right.
first thing first, shout out to Ben K. Ben K, my round 1 opponent. He helped theory craft a lot with this list too. He's a good player. I really respect him. Shout out to my man right here, Thomas.
Yep.
Thomas is the brains behind this list. I was just the pilot. And shout out to my quote-unquote sponsors and teams. Akatsuki clan on Dueling Book.
Yep. That's
my guys right there. You know, Eyes and Leo and everybody. Shout out to my sponsor, Tim's Yugs on Instagram. TIMSYUGS
Yep.
on Instagram. Got lots of stuff in the Cali area if y'all looking for cards.
Yes.
And Gem Playmats, my other sponsor. And Team OC too.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, big shout outs to those sponsors and those people and your friends and stuff. They definitely help, along the way.
Definitely.
But without further ado, man, we'll get right into this list. So, of course, triple Alistair, man, pretty standard, I would say.
I was thinking about 2 for a little bit. Over.
Yeah.
Like you draw Alistair sometimes just too much in this deck. Like people talk about drawing Alistair Invo. I talk about drawing Alistair Meltdown Invo. Like I just draw it a little too much.
Yeah.
Like people ash the Meltdown and imperm the Alistair, and I'm just like, all right, Invo.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So your hand trap of choice, right after the Alistairs, you have right here 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Phantazmays, 2 Ghost Mourner, 3 Nibiru's, and the 3 imperms. So why did you decide to like play those hand traps, over like, for example, Veiler, over let's say like Ogre, Token Collector in the main deck?
Okay.
Like, yeah.
So Sun and I were talking about this at the beginning of the format when Secret Slayers first came out. It was just Rocks and Pure Lich and maybe Invoke. But now that they're all going to be really greedy and normal summon Jet Synchron and one hand trap kills them, targeted effect negation is suddenly good in every matchup of the format.
Right.
So because of that, you can standardize your deck list a lot more to what the format's going to be.
Mm.
Like essentially there's a lot of overlap, which is why I like this deck, because it's a Swiss Army knife. Like obviously I try and blind second, but I'm comfortable with going first too.
Right.
Because the reason I decide to go first sometimes is you play a hand trap engine. Like hand traps are good going first or second. As long as I see a mech, or an Alistair, something to apply pressure and win the game,
Right.
I'm comfortable going first. I
Right.
prefer to go second, but I'm comfortable going first.
Right.
Mourner's there because Mourner is a little bit better than Valor, I would say, for a timed event.
Right.
I was kind of thinking maybe the burn damage would like come up, but it didn't.
Right.
In all retrospect, it should have just been Valor, but also I managed to like negate, like when people activate IP and summon Unicorn, you can just drop Mourner on that.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah.
Also, Mourner drops under Arclight, which came up like once, I think.
Oh yeah, that's true too. That's actually insane. And then for your mech engine, you have 2 blue skies, 1 indigo, triple purple, and then 1 of the yellow star. So why didn't you play red moon? And then the other question is, why not blue sky at 3?
So blue sky at 3 is a little bit bricky from what I was testing. So purple going first is always good giving you a play, but blue sky, your opponent needs to have something with some sort of value. There was a build that we were testing with like 1 Girasu in the main, so you could like normal Girasu, make a token, make a tuner, give your opponent a column, search with blue sky, but it was like really awkward. So it didn't really like work out for us. Blue sky at 2 is just a ratio choice of essentially not wanting to draw cards that are only good going first or second. Because like my favorite strategy in Yu-Gi-Oh is mid range. I like being able to go first or second, and this deck's going second is already so like amazing. I don't want to make going first like horrible.
True.
And yellow over red was because a lot of the times against Lich, they set their counter trap off of an elixir that they send. So I know where a lot of their back row is. And the counter trap is always static. They're not going to be moving it around. Because sometimes when I'm playing this deck, if I know there's like a back row, I'll place a card in the column if I have another set, and they'll just shotgun it. So that way they move a column and I can't summon a mech. So my entire point is I want to just like bait out as many things as possible and use Yellow Star. Because Yellow Star can also clear the Eldritch Spell and traps when they're in the monster zone. That didn't come up, but it could be a red moon. It's just something that I wanted to test. But I liked yellow star this format, and the 28 defense kind of came up once or twice.
Gotcha. And then so in the next part of your engine, you know, you have the the spice of the deck, man. The Rainbow Dragon and the Honest Neos. So explain to me why you decided to play like the Neos Fusion package.
So the Neos Fusion package is like super good. Honestly, it's the biggest blowout I've seen in the format today. Honestly, no other deck has a shuffle back your field, shuffle back your grave. So another big thing that's important is any 2 monsters makes a Verte down there in the bottom. And Verte is literally just free wins. Because Makaba plus Rainbow Neos plus an Alistair is exactly 8k. So it's 45, 25, and 1,000. So you always make the Makaba prior to making your using the effect of your Verte. So you can always negate any kind of hand trap they have for you. And your Neos is likely to go through. This is one of those decks where like you just throw a bunch of stuff at your opponent, and then once you've thrown everything at your opponent, they have nothing left. You just drop a Neos and shuffle back their resources.
And so like even if you somehow don't kill them, you at least put them in such a bad position that like 1 Mekk-Knight negate on the follow up is usually enough.
Yeah, I played against a Lich player. He opened like set 4 and 2 hand traps, and I was able to clear his whole board. I didn't kill him, but I cleared his whole board. Shuffle back in his grave.
Which is insane because then they like it stops their engine from like recursion. So that's really nice.
I want to shout out Ben because Ben was the one that like came up with this engine at the beginning of the format. Like even pre-Secret Slayers, he was playing it, and it's just super good. And the biggest thing is a lot of people are playing 2 Neos Fusion, but I'm playing 3 because a lot of the times, like, if you're playing into a hardly established board, having the Neos Fusion to drop can bait hand traps, and just an extra spell and trap for your mech columns. And if you see it, you don't have to summon Verte. You can make a Phoenix or or something else and clear back row.
That makes sense. Then you have the 2 Cosmic Cyclone in the main deck. How did that card perform for you? I've seen in and out of the main deck. So it is interesting to see its place in the current format, especially because a lot of them end up on the combo now. Like combo Ulik just basically ends up on more of like the draw, the VFD, and of course sometimes they have like the back row. So like how did Cosmic perform for you? What was your thoughts in playing it?
So there was probably only like 4 games out of like 10 rounds I didn't draw a hand trap in my opening hand because you're playing like 15 of them. So the idea behind the Cosmic is it gives you a little bit of extra coverage because every deck except for Rocks is going to have some kind of static back row. Like Invoked Lich is going to have the Meltdown. Lich is gonna have just like any kind of like back row. So the entire point is I want to be able to like chain it and respond directly to their back row.
Right.
Like it's just a coverage choice that I was thinking about, and
Yep.
I was really happy with it.
Okay. That's awesome.
Son, what do you think about Cyclone in the main?
I think for one thing, so my name is Thomas, but he calls me Son because that's what I'm known on as Discord.
No, you
in
are my
Discord,
son.
But, yeah, people know me as Sun Tzu. But basically the theory behind Cosmic is largely, and also like the hand traps is, so the thing with Cosmic that works well is that we were expecting for this event that, well, for one thing, the event was a little bit nebulous because even though it seemed like the format was quote unquote solved by the whole like synchro lich being a thing and all this stuff, and down the line with like lich being just a dominant deck along with rock, what we also couldn't deny is the fact that there's a lot of other decks right now that exist that have been doing decently well. So a lot of people like to generalize the metagame as rock plus lich and then everything else. But within the, if you look at the everything else category, a lot of these decks are very much dependent on having some form of back row, or like in the case of like plunders, like you would have the equips. In the case of like any form of lich that's not like even combo lich in theory, like having just all this back row, salads back row, striker back row, orcus like to play around Dingirsu, you need the Cosmic because Dingirsu protects stuff. Regardless of what the deck is, there's like maybe only one or two decks that really just don't care about like their back row, like either A, don't have back row, or B, don't care about their back row getting removed. Right. But every single other deck out there, you do need to have some form of way to out the back row in order to, because of the fact that that's mainly where their power plays and their defensive options come from.
Right.
And so the Cosmic just provides ways that you can play around this type of stuff, which is really important since, as Ryan mentioned, the main way that you, like one of the main win cons of the deck is being able to blow your opponent out through resolving Rainbow Neos, and just being able to simplify the game state. Like once you enter the simplified game state through things like Agades and and just being able to apply board pressure, you pretty much win just from that alone. It's very difficult for decks to come back, for your opponent to come back from that. So the Cosmic just helps in having that general toolkit, as like the Swiss Army knife example that Ryan gave. So that's the reason behind it. I don't think we would cut it in the future. I think it's actually really good. But that's up to Ryan. He's the one who highlighted the list at the end. So
that makes sense. And then you have sorry.
Okay, let me just bring up one more thing about this deck. So he mentioned the concept of the format is lich, rock, and everything else. Granted, I like to think that this deck is just like is the rogue destroyer. Because Rainbow Neos just like blows out any deck that's not the mirror or the two meta decks, and it even blows out the meta decks. Like I call this just the rogue killer because it just like sits there, and a lot of the rogue decks can't deal with pressure from Mekk-Knights and Invoked every turn. And like the other thing we were talking about was, sorry to bring back to the hand traps, but Phantazmay was the MVP of the tournament. Every deck link summons, even Invoked. Invoked, you can still drop it on the Al Mirage or the Secure Gardna. So it comes up in every matchup. I remember I played against Rocks. The guy made Needle Fiber, and I literally drew Nibiru Ash off of my Phantazmay.
That's crazy.
So it's a crazy card, and I definitely would not cut it.
Yeah, the thing about Phantazmay that's really solid in this version of the deck, I mean, I feel like with Invoked Mech, there are variants that you can run, but with this particular version, running the Neos engine, it's really important, I think, to run this card because of the fact that you can have consistency issues. You're running two cards that are effectively dead in your hand, which are your Rainbow Dragon and the Neos Vanilla. And you want to be able to make sure that you access your hand traps if you can, especially in this metagame where there are so many ways that hand traps can just be flat out negated. It's pretty critical to have at least two hand traps in your hand if possible, unless you're playing against Synchro Lich, in which case just one is sufficient. But even then, to fully stop their engine, being able to preserve the Ash, for example, to stop the Scarlet from resolving, all that stuff. Like there's a lot of important reasons why having at least two hand traps makes it so that it kind of helps you seal the deal effectively, making it so that your turn 2, during your turn, you can just easily clean up kind of using the Rainbow Neos down the line. So the Phantazmay really came in clutch a lot of times for Ryan.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like, being able to shuffle back your bricks and also like to see more hand traps is like really nice. Like, if you draw like double Nibiru, like drawing in, like draw 2 and then shuffle back a dead Nibiru in your hand is like really insane, for sure. I agree. Then you have like the you have mind control in the main. I mean, that card is like a pretty much a no brainer for any go second deck, right? It's just crazy.
Honestly, mind control, I didn't draw it. Like
Oh,
it was
okay.
always kind of like a side. It's there.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like a side out because like we have like a citing document that we're just like, oh, side out mind control in this matchup or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just kind of realized that mind control is just not great against Synchro Lich because all it does is eat a negate when you'd rather just have like outs to their board or hand traps to deal with them from making that board, you know?
Right.
So mind control is there mainly. It's a god card, but it's arguable. Like I could probably even go down to 40 cutting the mind control.
Gotcha. Then you have triple Neos fusion. Like I think you mentioned before, you don't mind hard drawing it, so that's why you have it at 3. Then you have the essentially the set rotation terraforming. And the reason why you do this is because you have like the life stage. So explain to me Corbane. Is that just to like turbo out Verde?
Oh my god. So this was actually Thomas's idea. I'm extremely proud of him on this one. So Stage is a godly field spell.
Yeah.
When I got like my first win in a regional, like I was playing Trickstar Orchis.
Yep.
So I know the power that like 2 free bodies equals. We weren't playing Candina, but Light Stage essentially deals with all the problems this deck had against back row.
Right.
Like it forces your opponent to play it or not.
Yeah.
Like you drop it and then your opponent just like, I'm in a position, do I chain it or do I not? Because Lich will sometimes just leave their stuff face down.
Yeah.
Because they want to use the effect during end phase.
Yep.
So Corbane is there because we have a combo in the extra deck that we'll explain later where Alistair plus any light extender equals calamities.
Oh.
So
wow. Yeah.
like sometimes in the rock matchup, like you spoiler alert, I side 3 there could be only one. The reason is in rock, if you lose game 1, then you just blind first game 2. Obviously they're gonna think they're gonna go like, you know, second.
Yep.
So I mean go
first. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just drop a calamities or there can be only one on them and they're just like, what do I do? Because I played against a guy, I think it was round 5 or 6, he was playing rocks and he showed me his hand. He had like a pointer, like Call by the Grave and a bunch of other stuff, and I'm like, nice going first card, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. It's because I think
the pack. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, that's something that's like super important too. To like, if a go second deck loses its first like game, going first in game 2, right? Even though most people wouldn't do it, just because you already lost game 1, so like the momentum is like kind of like swung in their favor. But like that's easily how you like regain back tempo, because you kind of like just outplay them with like the side decking choice. So like they literally have like they have nothing. They probably have no outs like VFD after that. So it's just crazy.
More or less, which is crazy. And like the idea behind the combo, so it's kind of funny because this is a combo that back when Mekk-Knights were originally released as Jack Knights.
Yeah.
Back at like when they first got released in the OCG, and when the Alistair Link officially first got released as well. That was when I came up with this combo with Invoked Mekk. Before Invoked Mekk became for the first time debuted as like a meta relevant deck back several years ago. I came up with this 2-3 card combo to make a VFD turn 1.
Yep.
And as Link Cross and other cards became introduced, the idea for the combo made it so we just basically made it so that the combo became more and more efficient. I want to just quickly shout out Ben K here because he was the one who brought up the idea of the Link Cross and overall made it so that the combo really became what it is now. And the thing with Light Stage that's really just amazing is that like it gives you access to the Corbane, which helps with the consistency of the combo when you're going first. But more importantly, when you're going second, the most important card to resolve outside of your mechs is the Invoked Engine. I mean, that seems like really intuitive, but resolving the Invoked Engine is pretty much the core of your game. Yep. Whether it be you're going to go for a grind or whether you're just immediately going to try to kill as much as possible. Because it helps ensure you get to Mekaba, which is critical for things like dodging Nibiru, but
also at the same time, it just is it's just the main part of your board presence as a whole. It makes your board threatening. Like just having a bunch of mechs on board, they don't really care. Your opponent's not going to care.
Yeah.
But if you have the mechs with like the invoked part, that's when they're going to start to care a lot.
Yep.
And so what what Light Stage does is, if you're facing against Lich, for example, they have to shotgun the Conquistador, and if not, or they just, if they just leave it as is, fine. Then that means that the Conquistador doesn't matter to you. So
Yep.
then you can just resolve Meltdown for free.
Yep.
It makes it so that you get free access to your Alistair
Right.
without any issue, which is
Right.
really, really important for the deck.
Yeah, and like Lich also has to set their stuff. I mean, unless
Yeah.
they resolve Eldland, they have to set their stuff in a specific zone where you know where it is.
Yeah.
So you can play this, and the Golden Land Forever is probably one of the more annoying cards to deal with. You can just snipe that.
Yeah, 100%. Like you'll just know exactly where their back rows are, and if you can also just kind of like tell, like if they set Conquistador and Aquero, there's a chance you might have to play around a Forever as well, or if they set just Aquero, depends. But yeah, 100%. Yeah, the second effect of Light Stage is absolutely insane.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it just provides more consistency for your invoked engine as well, because you get access to things like set rotation, which makes it so that you effectively have an 8th Alistair in the deck, which is
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, 8 Alistairs, and then you also have like access to a free ball. Like Trickstar by like the Light Stage by itself searches you a card and shuts off a back row. That's a +2, so it's insane.
Like Korribane can also be like a monster in your hand or discard with Makaba.
Yeah,
Because sometimes when you're working off a limited amount of resources, you
Yep.
want to like obviously use your Makaba negate. I would say like maybe last, just because like your hand traps are gonna be the main stuff like supporting the engine and keeping you alive.
right.
But if you have like an Alistair in your hand, you kind of don't want to use it as the Makaba bait
Yep.
because you have hand traps. So I think Korribane's cool as like an extra little like fodder for Makaba.
Yeah, being light definitely helps too.
Mhm.
Crazy. But I guess that's pretty much it for the main deck. I think we'll go into the extra deck first. So I see you're playing the new Invoked fusion card, Oneides or Oneides, however.
Agades.
Agades, yeah. So how good was that card?
So I've made it twice alternate. So this is one of those cards that like you forget's in your extra deck.
Yep.
You just look down and you're like, oh yeah, I got this thing.
Yeah.
Let me just win with this real fast.
Yeah.
Like I think the best interaction I had was I was like really top decking against a Synchro Lich player like right before top 32, and all he had was a Boral Savage, and I think it was just a Boral Savage, and a Unicorn on his field. Sorry, a Unicorn and a Boral Savage. So I activated Invo. He couldn't negate it because of
Meltdown.
my field spell.
Yep.
So I activated it. I summoned my Agades by banishing Rainbow Neos, and then on summon he can't respond. So I popped his Boral Savage, and then let me add back the Alistair from a banish, normal it, make him a Kaba, and kill him.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Meltdown's
Yeah.
crazy. Meltdown's crazy.
Agades is really important. Not necessarily early game, but it's more something that you use whenever you have to be used to go. Like if you have to go into the grind game. The
Yeah,
idea,
Simplified game state, right?
yeah, in the theory behind it is that, at least what I told Ryan was that in a simplified game state, you want to preserve your hand resources as much as possible, because that's the way because it's ultimately just a question of who preserves their resources while also being able to get at least incrementally ahead in terms of the game state, while preventing the opponent from being able to replenish resources or just continuously recycle them. And the thing with Agades is that since it's a pop during like your opponent's turn as well, for one, going second, it can be very good in terms of helping you finish off the game, because let's say somehow or another they get rid of your Rainbow Neos. Like, I don't know, they use Golden Lord's effect to send it to graveyard, since the Neos fusion card itself only protects from destruction effects.
Right.
And so in this instance, then the Agades can just banish the Neos to gain 4,500 attack, making it a big 6,500 beater. Once it hits the board, it also just pops a monster on your opponent's field, which just makes it so that it's in a way your own version of an access code talker
Yeah.
that just naturally fits within like the fusion strategy of the deck as a whole.
Yep.
Which makes it really, really powerful. And like being able to just, if you really need to, just like shotgun an Alistair to make it 7,500 as well, makes it so that you're more or less going to have lethal damage pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like being able to just have it around. Like it's better than Mekaba in the grind, arguably, because with Mekaba you have to consistently discard things, which in a simplified game state you likely won't have that many hand resources. So being able to just retain those resources in your hand and just play the game, like is just really potent, especially because with like even against like Rock, if you put them in the grind, they're not gonna last too long. And with Agades, you ensure that they can't really push that heavily.
Yeah.
So it's just a really fantastic card as a whole.
Right. Then you have triple Mekaba, so 3 Mekaba instead of 2, and I'm assuming that's for the VFD combo.
Yeah.
Then you have Purgatrio, which makes sense. And then the Rainbow Fusion. Okay, VFD for the VFD combo. You have the Alistair Link, the BLS Link, the Phoenix, the Link Ross, Verde, Almirage, and Secure Gun. So explain to the viewers who's watching this combo you do to end up on the VFD.
Okay, so if you open an Alistair, or way to Alistair plus a light extender,
Right.
let's assume a Corobane. So you special Corobane, normal Alistair, search Invo, then you go link into Alistair Link, activate Invo, banish the Alistair from your grave, banish the light extender, summon Makaba. You trigger the effect of the Alistair Link discards a card from your hand and grabs you another Invo. You're missing a light, but that's why you make Link Cross. You make Link Cross, summon 2 tokens, and then you activate, banish the Link Cross, summon the second Makaba, and then overlay for Calamities.
Gotcha. So your end board would be like 2 tokens Calamities. Off technically, it's technically off of like 2 cards, but 3 cards because you have to discard for the Alistair Link.
2.5 cards.
2.5. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a Mekk-Knight, you would just go Alistair into use the effect to search Invocation, go into Almirage, and then set under the Almirage zone.
Yeah.
And then go into your mech and then keep going. And if you feel like you're scared of the evenly, instead of going for Link Cross summoning 2 tokens, you can just summon 1. And then you can banish the tokens, since tokens technically can't get banished by evenly, so you would have to banish everything else instead. And so then you would end up with Link Cross plus VFD instead of just like with 2 tokens.
Right. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Nice.
I like
that's insane.
keeping the tokens just as an extra body for next turn.
Yeah.
Because like randomly, if they push through your VFD or have like an imperm or something to negate it, you can just like have the tokens as like bodies or ability to make Verte next turn.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like I think what Sun was trying to get at was the fact that like if you're like made to tell that your opponent might have evenly, you just get punished super hard by evenly. But yeah, I also see the argument that like what deck is really siding evenly against Mekk-Knights anyways. Right, so
I guess like in the main deck of a going second matchup.
Well, yeah, if you just think logically though, like why would you side in evenly when most of the time, right, the standard board, I mean, most people don't know about this combo, but like for the standard board, you end up on Mekaba pass. Realistically, it's Mekaba pass, right? Evenly
With
gets
hand
rid,
traps,
and hand traps. So evenly gets rid of like probably the field spell, which is like kind of irrelevant. So that's why, but 100% though, if they somehow like someone just goes full Pepega and just like sides in like evenly match, But anyways, we'll go into the side deck. You have 1 Pankratops. How insane was that card?
I never drew it.
Okay.
I never drew it. This is a card that Sun was telling me not to run over and over again, but I love Pank. He's my boy. I gotta play him.
Right. Triple Gamma Seal. How good was this?
Okay, so Gamma Seal is kind of one of those things that I might consider taking out. It came up like once, but the idea is it's like when you know you're going second, but most of the time I won my game 1 because people weren't ready for the deck. So it's kind of a toss up on whether they'll make you go first or second. And originally there was like a mine and 2 Gamma Seal. Because like the mine can be like set rotation fodder or something. But it's kind of up in the air. Like I might take out Gamma Seal for more hand traps, but it's there for like if you know Rock's gonna go first, because I see a lot of players like get greedy and they choose to go like make me go second, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna play mid range if you make me go first or second. So it might come out for maybe Valor or like another hand trap, but it's there.
Gotcha. Token Collector, was this card as good as people hyped it up to?
Yeah, this card, and every time I dropped it, it ended somebody's turn.
That's
And
crazy.
something cool that Sun taught me was that when you're making the VFD combo going first,
Yep.
if you summon your Link Cross tokens, you can activate Token Collector and they can't Nibiru you. And
No,
they chain
yeah.
Nibiru, you just like chain Makaba.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't get Nibiru under it. Yeah, because you're not allowed to summon tokens. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, which is kind of important because the one problem about the VFD combo is that while you can't get Nibiru'd mid combo because of the Mecha Bust, you can get Nibiru'd
At the end
upon
of it.
summoning the VFD.
Right.
And so I was thinking of trying to figure out ways that you can play around that, and I noticed that Token Collector makes it so that they can't summon the Nibiru. So I suggested that this is a good card, especially versus like Rock or Synchro Lich going like even going first. It's a really good card. Not to mention like if they somehow out it, then like you can use it from the graveyard anyway. So like it's a good recursive card, especially versus the Lich combo Lich matchup.
Because like I realized that a lot of people think when you hand trap them, like you hand trap the fiber or something to stop them getting the O-Lion. You just they make Link Cross and they think that they still have full combo, and then you just drop Token Collector, and they've invested a lot of resources and they've expended their Link Cross for the turn. So because they've expended like pretty much all of that, they need to have like a lot of standalone follow-ups in order to get further in their combo.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's also like a free discard off the Alistair link too, because it triggers in the grave, so it's just like free. It like floats, so it's just like basically free. Then you have the third Cosmic Cyclone that you'll side in. Lightning Storm. How's Lightning Storm? Was that card good or no?
I never sided it in. It's just so I don't side it in against Synchro Lich because I'm not scared of the Lich back row. I'm scared of the combo board they make. Like the bodies plus negates is the annoying part. Like I could play through back row all day and like summon mechs and like hit them. Yeah. But when it comes to like the actual idea of playing into like combo boards with back row, I kind of have to like prioritize the combo back row.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Yeah, but the idea behind the card was largely because of the fact that like because of how the format is, as we mentioned before, the like pretty much rock, lich, and then everything else. We wanted to respect the fact that there are still going to be people who are playing decks that fall in the everything else category, and as I mentioned before, in the everything else category, pretty much a good majority of those decks are dependent on some form of factor.
Right.
And so this card is kind of just a blowout against any of those, i.e. Geist, which was in top cut, albeit Ryan didn't face the Geist player. There was
the
Guru, which I mean, props to those Guru players who managed to top. But if Ryan faced them, then he would have probably sided that in. Or Salad, etc. So yeah.
That makes sense. And then of course Reboot, that makes sense. The card is like an auto win button, literally. And then you have the there can only be one. So there can only be one obviously is like super insane. Did you like see it a lot this tournament?
I only sided it in. I didn't go first that much. Honestly, when I won game 1, obviously I would just either be told to go first. But the thing is, I don't know if Synchro Lich wants to go first or second. It's on the player. The correct play is to make me go first, but I kind of had to adopt a mid-range strategy in order to not just get screwed by my own sighting techniques. So T-Cebu is mainly there for Rock. Like Rock, you just go first and you side in T-Cebu and you win.
100%. Yeah.
Because nobody keeps in back row destruction against this deck. And like another thing, I don't understand why people keep in Nibiru against me. I'm summoning an Alistair and a Mekk-Knight a turn. Like that's pretty much it. And if you're gonna like try to Nibiru me, I'm gonna have Makaba for your Nibiru. So I don't understand why people think Nibiru is that great against this.
No, 100%. And then the thing is, like I think that's why like a lot of players are adapting because they see that like other decks are playing like there can only be one. Like that's why they play like the Madoche cards, and then Madoche plus any like Rock is like Phoenix outs the back row, and then if they have extenders they can keep playing. But yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah, there can only one is such a powerful floodgate for sure. But yeah, man, this is pretty much it. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we conclude this interview?
Okay, I want to bring this up. Pack, what's your opinion? Do you ash the Alistair or do you ash the Meltdown?
Right now, I ash Alistair always.
So, I lost my top 32 because my opponent ashed the Meltdown when I had the Invo. And I'm going to bring up a point. In this deck, columns are important. So, if you ash if you Ash the Meltdown, then I don't have an Alistair to make a column.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's kind of a good reason for that. People flame me every time for Ashing the Meltdown.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
So
you
Ryan,
always draw Invo.
so Ryan Yu, who won the whole tournament, he told me, like, we came to a conclusion that Ashing Meltdown is correct. So I said that, like, if you asked me my original answer, I would have definitely ashed Alistair, but I got sacked so many times where, like, I wouldn't ash Meltdown, I would ash Alistair, and the guy always has Invocation. So it was just so sickening half the time. Like, I always ash Meltdown now, and it's just like, yeah, it's too insane because, like, yeah, like it's like you said before, it's a free body, so you just go Amirage, set like anything, summon Mekk-Knight, and like still play. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, and the thing is that, like, I foresee that, and you'll notice that, like, more and more invoked lists will play 3 Invocation just because they know that hand traps are going to be that, like, this format has turned into pretty much people running 10 plus hand traps anyway. So, so it's pretty important that, like, 3 Invo is going to be run.
Yeah. Because you have to put them on, like, you better have it. Like, you better have that, like, you better draw, like, Alistair Meltdown. Because if you don't, then it's GG. But, yeah, 100%.
Like,
it's
I
scary,
never draw
man.
Invo. I always draw Alistair Meltdown. So.
Oh, you do? That's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Hard to play.
It's just, like, so annoying because, like, you have to... It's kind of like, do you Ash Oviraptor? Like, you know? Like, they go normal summon Oviraptor, and they have 4 cards in hand. Like, do you Ash Oviraptor? It's so tough because, like, at the end, they might just chain miss and you just went full neg and then they just went +2 on you. So it's really hard. That's why I ash Miscellaneousaurus. I don't ash Oviraptor anymore. I ash it when they search. They usually search miss too, which is so sick because I'm like, yo, this guy didn't have it. It's crazy. But then you just ash the miss and then you're fine. They get the free body, which is like whatever.
Yeah. Just one last thing before I guess we end the video, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I just want to quickly, I mean, Ryan did his shout outs at the beginning of the video, but I just want to quickly shout out, first off, Ryan, first, Pack, thanks for, I'm technically not the player of this deck per se, but for still having me on, I appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you to Ryan, who kind of put his faith in me. There were some other people as well, but Ryan, he kind of put his faith in me whenever I told him, hey, you should play this deck. And I mean, granted, he made it his own and he piloted it really well, which is why he ended up getting into top cut. And also, quick shout out to actually, this is gonna be unexpected, but the Kali Effect, that YouTube channel, mainly because when I mentioned how I came up with this VFD combo, he was the one who nobody probably knows this, but he was the one who first publicized it after I DM'd him about it.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
After I came up with this combo, and so, but now that this combo has evolved in this way and has become more and more relevant, I just want to shout out to him as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And
so, but I guess, and also just thanks for everyone else who competed in the LCS that kind of had faith in me whenever I was giving them theory and advice on on deck building. Shout out to June as well. I know he came out on your channel. June forgot to shout out me, but shout outs to him for running a great Dino list and thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, thank you guys for coming on. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to come out and take this interview. Congratulations to both of you, actually, because obviously, like, this is kind of like we have the pilot and we have the builder, and that's awesome. So it's always cool to see that. I hope to see you in more top cut appearances for sure, man. So yeah, keep grinding, and congratulations, bro.
I want to also just thank Luxury. Thank you for hosting this event. Thank you to George, Hani, Brian, and everyone, like Ness for head judging, Farfa for just being the amazing commentary that he was, and thank you for Pac for being a great water player who unfortunately bubbled.
Yeah, man. Unfortunate. Thank you, bro, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
All right,
guys. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts below on this list. If there would be any changes that you would like to make, if there's any text that they might have forgotten. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section below. Do Mekk-Knight, Invoked, or Invoke? Do they have a chance in the meta? All right, see you guys. Peace.